Title: At my daughter's wedding, she told me, "Sit in the back, Dad." Start: I didn't flinch when she said it. Sit in the back, Dad. 4 small words, sharp enough to slice through 23 years of fatherhood. The guests turned, some pretended not to hear, others pitied me. I walked to the last row without a sound, without a tremor. The same steadiness I'd learned the day her mother handed me that final letter and whispered, "Keep this safe. One day she'll need the truth." Today was that day. But she didn't know it yet. The groom didn't know it. Not one of them knew the ground beneath this church was already cracking. I raised my daughter alone after my wife died. I cooked meals at midnight when she refused to sleep. I attended every school event, even the one she swore she didn't care about. I sold my tools to pay for her university when the scholarships fell short. Her mother used to tell her, "Your father will burn in the rain for you." And I did, more than once. But people forget sacrifices when new mouths whisper sweeter lies. Those whispers came from her fiancé, and from the woman she thought was her second mother, my wife's sister, Amara. They were the ones who planted poison. They were the ones who convinced her I was a burden, a shadow that should shrink quietly in corners. And over time, she believed them. Distance formed, calls shortened. And then last month, she asked me not to walk her down the aisle. That was the first cut, but not the deepest. I found the truth by accident. I walked into a cafe near my worksite, the kind of place where conversations bounce off tile floors and every secret leaks into the air. I heard my daughter's voice before I saw her. "I just don't want him in pictures. People will wonder why he looks so worn out, and Amara thinks it's better this way." Worn out. Aesthetic embarrassment. That's what I had become. The groom laughed. "Then keep him at the back. Problem solved." The 2 people she trusted most, one I tolerated, one I paid for her safety, mocked the man who raised her. I stood there, unseen. My heart didn't break, it hardened. And when Amara arrived, sliding into the seat with her rehearsed sorrow and fake concern, I learned the real truth. She leaned in and said, "Don't worry, he'll fade out of your life once you're married. That's how it should be. Your mother never wanted him raising you alone." A lie, a venomous, calculated lie. And that was the moment the final letter in my coat pocket grew heavier than stone. My wife's handwriting. Her last breath sealed in ink. A truth I had protected for 20 years. That day, I stopped being wounded. I started planning. Revenge doesn't start with rage. It starts with patience. First, I read the letter again. Every line, every confession, every truth my wife wanted our daughter to know. Then I made copies, real ones, notarized, time-stamped. I met with her mother's old lawyer. The man remembered everything. He knew the secrets Amara had kept hidden for decades. The forged documents, the stolen inheritance, the accounts siphoned from my wife's name after her death. He handed me proof, signed, sealed, ready for daylight. Then I spoke to the groom's ex-fiancée. Yes, the one he told everyone went crazy. She wasn't crazy. She was discarded. She gave me messages, proof of his manipulation, infidelity, financial schemes. I didn't threaten. I didn't push. I simply offered her closure. Piece by piece, I built a quiet arsenal. And then I waited for the perfect battlefield. A wedding. Their audience, their God, their pride. When the priest asked for the vows, I stood. Every head turned, finally seeing the man they had pushed to the shadows. But I didn't speak. Didn't need to. Instead, I walked forward and placed a sealed envelope on the table near the groom. The same table where the sacred vows lay. Her mother's handwriting faced upward. He noticed it. He hesitated. "Should I?" he whispered to my daughter. She shrugged. "Just read it." And that was her mistake. Her arrogance was my ally. He opened the letter. His eyes moved, line by line. Confusion, shock, then fear. The color drained from his face. He stepped back, shaking his head. No, I didn't know this. The guests murmured. My daughter's smile stiffened. What's wrong? He handed her the letter with trembling fingers. Your mother, she wrote, she warned, she exposed. He couldn't finish, but the lawyer could. He stood up from the front row, yes, I invited him, and read aloud, Amara is not your guardian angel. She stole from your mother, manipulated your father, forced documents to cut him from decisions, and planned to control your inheritance after your wedding. Gasps, disbelief. Amara's mask cracked instantly. But there was more. I handed the second envelope to the priest. He hesitated, then opened it. The groom's messages projected on the screen behind the altar, the ex-fiancé's proof. The church erupted. My daughter's knees buckled. Her groom stepped away from her as if she were fire, and then he walked out. Straight out of the church, leaving her in ruins. She looked at me then, really looked. For the first time in years, she saw the man she had buried beneath everyone else's lies. Dad, why didn't you tell me? I did, I said quietly. You just stopped listening. Amara tried to speak, but security, the ones hired with her mother's money she stole, escorted her out. My daughter collapsed into a chair, shaking. The wedding was over. The facade was over. Everything false had burned to ash. I didn't comfort her, not today. This wasn't punishment. This was truth reborn. As I walked out of the church, the cold air met my lungs like freedom. I had given her mother's final gift, the truth, undeniable, unforgiving, liberating. One day my daughter will come to me, maybe with apology, maybe with understanding, or maybe she won't. Either way, I feel no regret. Some truths are cruel, but lies are worse. And I refuse to sit in the back of a life I built. Not anymore.